At an AOC Bernie Sanders rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, this is not a symbol of freedom. This is. This is a serious problem for Democrats. Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual. Because you have no perspective. Is America perfect? No, of course not. No country is.
Bill Maher looks like he's one eye roll away from defecting, because according to him, the far left's behavior has officially gone off the rails. On a no-holds-barred episode of Real Time, Maher lit into AOC and the Democratic Party, accusing them of pushing a narrative that feels more anti-American than progressive. Maher's rants are nothing new. But this time, it felt different. It was sharper, louder, and frankly, aimed with precision. If you're not already subscribed, now's the time, because we're about to unpack every explosive moment.
Let's hear it for Democratic politicians who keep it real. Senator Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan says Democrats are, quote, weak and woke and should get some goddamn alpha energy and need to fucking retake the flag. I gotta say this. I love this new trend.
The Democrats are officially in self-destruct mode. It's like they're cannibalizing their own movement, one woke soundbite at a time. More and more voices from within are starting to push back, realizing the radical edge they've been cozying up to is actually a cliff. And Maher? He's loving every second of it. You could see it in his smirk. Another Democrat cracking the code, waking up from the cultish groupthink and daring to challenge the sacred cows of the left. We've been saying it for ages. Unchecked wokeness is a political black hole. And now even the insiders are ringing the alarm. Maher's just warming up.
But here's the thing. Senator Slotkin is a serious person. She's a former CIA agent. You know how every streaming action movie now is about a soccer mom who used to be in the CIA? Okay, that's really her. So we should listen to her because she's right. Lady Deadpool is right.
This isn't just your average round of political chest thumping, it's a full-on ideological identity crisis. When you've got dyed-in-the-wool liberals like Bill Maher and even folks like Senator Slotkin starting to echo centrist outrage, you can feel the foundations shaking. The progressive echo chamber is cracking, and the noise is starting to leak out. It's not just conservatives calling out the chaos anymore, it's insiders who've had enough of the ideological whiplash. And when someone as unfiltered as Maher starts naming names and dropping truth bombs, you know the inner circle is getting uncomfortable. Buckle up, because Maher's not done. He's about to drop data that'll have the Democrats reaching for the panic button.
It's a serious problem for Democrats. Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual. Because you have no perspective. Is America perfect? No, of course not. No country is.
It's honestly unreal. The second Trump's name is back in the spotlight, suddenly the left acts like patriotism is a dirty word. The double standard is blatant. Democrats chant about unity and healing, but only when they're steering the ship. The minute they're not in control, it's all doom, gloom, and tearing the country apart. Maher sees it for what it is, performative virtue signaling dressed up as moral outrage. They talk about loving America, but only the version they can micromanage. And Maher, in classic fashion, pulls the curtain back and shows the raw contradiction. Because for all their talk about resistance, what they're really resisting is losing their grip on the narrative.
The U.S. is leagues ahead of the rest of the world on most of the progressive issues that are important to young people. America has 14 million women-owned businesses. 17% of black women are starting businesses, which is faster than white women or white men. Gay Americans are free to marry, and 49% of them own property. Yes, in America, gays buy buildings. In other places, they get thrown off them.
And yet here we are. Major media outlets still clinging to this apocalyptic narrative that Trump's very existence puts entire communities in peril. They paint a picture of America spiraling into chaos, women losing livelihoods, minorities under siege, and democracy hanging by a thread. But let's be honest, that's not journalism, it's emotional manipulation. These pundits don't want informed viewers, they want frightened followers. The more panicked the audience, the more loyal they become. But Bill Maher, he's calling it out. He's not buying the melodrama. While others stoke fear for ratings, Maher actually asks the uncomfortable question, where's the proof? Because shouting "we're doomed" louder doesn't make it true.
All those old movies you think are cringe? Well, they're cringe because America changed, because we modernized, way more than most societies have. Our current Congress is the most racially and ethnically diverse ever. They're like a beautiful, useless rainbow. And we proudly live in a land where every TV commercial features a mixed-race couple, including the ones where it makes no sense. Mom's black, dad's white, and the kid's Asian. But here is the dilemma for Democrats. Their young people, their key constituency, not only don't like their own civilization, they like the wrong one. They actually think Hamas is a liberation movement. They chant for the Houthis. They're chanting, "We will honor."
And honestly, can you really fault the younger generation? They didn't come up with this worldview on their own. They inherited it. What we're witnessing is the trickle-down effect of an older, bitter generation that let their hatred for Trump fester into something far uglier, disdain for the very nation they live in. That bitterness didn't stay political. It became cultural, ideological, and now generational. Instead of passing down values like resilience or appreciation for free speech, they passed down suspicion, division, and cynicism. So now we've got a wave of young Americans who've been trained to distrust their own country, to see its flaws as fatal, and to mistake outrage for activism.
Someone needs to tell the kids that America is not the society where women basically have no rights, where there's zero freedom of religion and where dissent is punishable by death. Our democracy may be on life support, but we still have elections. They don't. And yet at Coachella this year, when an Irish rap group projected onto screens, "Fuck Israel, Free Palestine," got big applause. "Globalize the Intifada" is the catchphrase that's really catching on these days, as if worldwide suicide bombing and cosplaying Islamic revolutionaries is the answer to our problems.
And this is the twisted worldview the left has mainstreamed, where facts are flexible and morality is just a matter of marketing. The younger generation, flooded with this noise, eats it up because the narrative is packaged as justice. But scratch the surface and it's just propaganda dressed up as progress. Bill Maher, to his credit, doesn't play along. He called out the blatant double standards and the moral gymnastics it takes to cast democratic nations as oppressors while romanticizing groups that openly call for violence. And the worst part? This isn't fringe ideology anymore. It's baked into the messaging from top Democrat leaders who are more concerned with retweets and poll numbers than telling the truth.
At an AOC Bernie Sanders rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, "This is not a symbol of freedom. This is."
Exactly. When silence becomes strategy, it stops being leadership. AOC and Bernie had every opportunity to speak up, to draw a clear moral line, but instead, they chose complicity. Why? Because confronting uncomfortable truths might cost them support from the activist fringe that now drives much of their base. The result is a warped moral compass where actual oppression is excused, even glorified, while American institutions are demonized. Maher didn't just highlight this hypocrisy, he torched it. He exposed how the left's selective outrage has morphed into moral cowardice, where standing against real injustice is too politically inconvenient.
The thought leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great. The Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids, a pattern that then continues on in the Democratic Party. Last election, it was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such, and now I fear that "we like the terrorists" is the new that.
And Maher's hammer doesn't come with soft blows. It comes with receipts. He isn't just criticizing policy differences, he's diagnosing a full-blown identity crisis within the Democratic Party. When common sense became controversial and basic biology turned into a political statement, the foundation started to crack. Maher, once a darling of the liberal elite, now finds himself sounding more like the guy they used to mock. But that's what happens when ideology replaces logic. His final point? That if the left doesn't stop confusing radicalism for righteousness, they won't just lose elections, they'll lose the country's trust entirely.
Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children. The Democrats' problem is the energy of the parties with the young and the young are with the terrorists. That's not good. So talk to your children and remind them you don't really want to live like your heroes in Hamas. All the shit you do all day, it was all made in America. Your smartphone, your Grubhub, your freedom to bitch about America, that's all American stuff. You tell your phone you want a milkshake and a guy brings it to your house. Please, you couldn't survive a week living in Intifadaville.
The sooner the Democrats drop the lies and toxic woke nonsense, the better chance they have at survival. They desperately need fresh, practical ideas that actually connect with everyday Americans. Ideas grounded in reality, not just ideological fantasies. But it's not just about policies. They have to start telling the truth to the younger generation. No more sugarcoating. No more selling illusions under the guise of inclusion or justice. It's time for real talk. The longer the party stays asleep at the wheel, the closer they get to a collapse that might be impossible to fix. The smell of hypocrisy and extremism is turning off even young voters, once the Democrats' strongest supporters. And let's not forget the shifting attitudes in the Black community. More and more are asking hard questions, refusing to blindly back a party that delivers empty rhetoric instead of real results. If the Democrats don't course correct soon, they won't just lose elections, they'll lose whole generations. The writing's on the wall, and Bill Maher is calling it loud and clear. It's time for a reckoning or face irrelevance.
You're like the girl in White Lotus who was going to live in a Buddhist monastery and then lasted one night.
At this pace, Republicans might not even have to break a sweat in the 2028 elections. The Democrats are spectacularly self-destructing. Every misguided policy, tone-deaf comment, and radical stance is driving voters away by the millions. By the time the next election rolls around, Republicans could basically coast to victory, facing no real competition. What was once a powerhouse Democratic Party now looks like a fractured mess, crippled by infighting, virtue signaling, and a blatant refusal to face facts. They've turned their backs on the working class and alienated minority communities they once vowed to support, all while obsessing over fringe issues. Meanwhile, Republicans focus on law, order, and economic common sense. Democrats argue over pronouns and try to rewrite biology. If this trajectory doesn't change fast, 2028 won't be a race. It'll be a coronation. Without a serious course correction, Democrats risk not just losing seats, but losing their influence, credibility, and relevance, leaving America to move forward without them.
Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you fucked in the first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people on the losing side offer, that liberals should stop saying the Trump voters are stupid, comes with a kind of unspoken parentheses. We know they are stupid, just don't say it.
In the end, the Democratic Party is on a self-destructive path fueled by lies, radical ideology, and moral confusion. Their refusal to face reality and obsession with fringe narratives is costing them support, not just from young voters and minorities, but even lifelong liberals. Meanwhile, Republicans barely need to lift a finger because their opponents are doing the damage all on their own. If Democrats don't wake up soon, they won't just lose elections. They'll lose the trust of the nation. The tide is turning, and Americans are craving truth, stability, and common sense. Right now, they aren't finding that on the left. History won't be kind to those who traded reason for rhetoric, and voters won't forget who stood for truth and who sold out for applause. On that note, we'll wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button and subscribe for more fiery content just like this. Don't forget to share it with a friend. Let's take down wokeism one video at a time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.